welcome to this week's broadcast. It's Jen from Kids Eat Vegetables, and today I want to talk about I'm asking you the question, what are you struggling with most when it comes to serving healthy meals or preparing healthy food for your family? If you're new to my broadcast, let me tell you a little bit more about myself. Like I said, my name is Jen Zills. I am a wife, a mom of 3, a certified health coach, and the founder of Kids Eat Vegetables, where I help busy moms on their journey to raising healthy kids. And I am passionate about helping moms get their kids and their families, their husbands too, to eat more vegetables. It is so important to our health. Study after study will tell you that just a simple switch of eating more vegetables will make huge improvements in your health. And when it comes to our kiddos, that's the way they're growing, the way they're going to do at school, their focus, their ability to do all the wonderful things we know they're meant to do. Having their bodies properly fueled makes all the difference. So again, like I said, this week I asked the question on my Facebook page, what are you struggling with the most? And if you didn't see that question, ask me here. I'll be sure to check the check the messages after the live broadcast. So tell me, what are you struggling with the most when it comes to preparing healthy meals for your family? And if you look at the responses that I got this week had to do with, are they all going to eat it? How do I know they're going to eat it? Balancing what I want them to eat with what they're actually going to eat. And so I want to talk about that. I have 2 tips in regards to that today. So many times people think, oh my gosh, to eat healthy, it's a huge shift from where we are today. My kids are not going to like it because all the recipes or all the meals are going to be hugely different from where we are today. And it doesn't have to be that way. So if you're just starting out or you're really struggling with, hey, how can I get healthy meals on the table? The first tip I have for you, and the first way I want you to think about this, is start with what you know. Start with what you know your family likes. Take your top 5 family favorite meals and start deconstructing them and saying, how can I make these healthier, okay? So start from where you are, start from what your family knows. I agree with you. If you start just putting out these healthy, totally new recipes into your family or onto your dinner table, your family's going to revolt. My family would revolt. They do sometimes. And that's okay. But so start with what they know. Take your top 5 family meals and say, okay, how can I notch up the nutrition on those? How can I make those meals better? I'll give you some examples. Meatloaf. My family loves meatloaf. And you will find in this house, meatloaf is served with pureed kale and pureed or shredded carrots. So I am putting in vegetables into the meatloaf. Everyone loves meatloaf. My whole family enjoys it. I know it's something they're going to eat. And so I put vegetables into the meatloaf. So that's one example. Another example is chicken noodle soup. Many times, actually it's on my meal plan for this week, I will make chicken noodle soup, but I will substitute the noodles and instead I will put in riced cauliflower. They know now because I've done it so often and they've actually seen me make it, but in the beginning they had no idea. Your kids are not going to know that's riced cauliflower. If they love chicken noodle soup, if they know the soup is familiar to them, maybe you have a family recipe, maybe you have a favorite recipe online. I have recipes on my website. I'll be sure to share in the comments after the broadcast. So take your chicken noodle soup, replace the noodles with a riced cauliflower. Very easy to do and doesn't change the flavor and very nutritious for your kids. Another example, pasta bake. Maybe you like to do pasta. I did a pasta bake last week. I talked about it on last week's broadcast. I'm going to share the recipe in this week's newsletter. Make your pasta bake a little healthier. Instead of using, a very refined refined flour pasta, go for a whole wheat pasta or a gluten-free pasta. When you get your pasta sauce, read the ingredients. Read the ingredients in the pasta sauce. Make sure there's no added sugar or added sweeteners. That's so important. Read our labels, right? You can puree some spinach into the sauce. They are not going to notice, okay? So find ways that you can take these simple recipes and beef them up a notch or make them a little more nutritious. Let me think of another example. Chili, that's getting right into the fall season. Chili, maybe you're gonna make a vegetarian chili one night, keep the meat out, or replace your hamburger with turkey. So again, take the meals that you know your family likes and just look at those, deconstruct those, and say, okay, how can I make this meal more nutritious? If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments and I'll be sure to let you know. And like I said, I will share the recipe, both the pasta bake recipe will be in this week's newsletter. If you don't receive our newsletter, sign up at kidseatvegetables.com/tips. Again, that's kidseatvegetables.com/tips. My pasta bake recipe will be in this week's newsletter, and I do have a vegetable soup. It's actually turkey vegetable soup, but you can use chicken as well, where I replace the noodles with the riced cauliflower. So I'll share that recipe here on this broadcast. So that's tip number 1. Take the top 5 recipes that you know your family loves and make them more nutritious. Sneak in some vegetables, use some better quality ingredients. It's not gonna cost that much more, and you know your family enjoys them. So that's tip number 1. Tip number 2, when you're trying a new recipe, a new main course for dinner, change your thinking about it a little bit and maybe think of it as a side dish. Okay, so if you're making a new type of casserole or a new soup, or even, a chicken dish, think of it as a side dish. Think of it as not that one meal, not that one dinner where it may flop. No one might like it. That happens sometimes when we try the recipe for the first time. But think of it as a side dish. So in addition to that new soup recipe, serve the chicken nuggets that you know your child will eat. Serve the hot dog, right? But start introducing these new healthier recipes with things they already know. So don't plan on this new recipe being dinner. Okay, because if it flops, you're gonna have problems at the dinner table. Everyone's gonna be upset and everyone's gonna be hungry. But if you think of it as a side dish and you present it as a side dish, kind of serving it family style, everyone gets a chance to try it, but there's other things at the table they like. Maybe there's some fruit at the table they like, some cottage cheese, maybe their favorite chicken nuggets, right? But there's also this new recipe. And then you're gonna say, but what am I gonna do? That's wasteful. Think about that recipe and how you can use it throughout the week. Maybe your husband's taking it at lunch. Maybe you're sharing it with another mom. You're like, hey, I'm gonna try this new casserole recipe. I'll take half, you take half. Let's see how our families like it, and we'll serve it as a side dish, right? Work with other moms. Other moms have this same struggle. If a couple weeks of the month, you're talking to your girlfriend and you're sharing casserole dishes, that's fabulous. You're both gonna get your families fed. You're trying new meals, right? Again, think of it as lunch for the next day. Think of it as freezer portions. Maybe you take that casserole, you split it into 3. It's a side dish for this week's, for Tuesday night meal, but you're saving 2 other portions of it in the freezer, and you're gonna reintroduce it another night. That's fine. In the future, right now you have food prepped for a future dinner, and you have repetition in introducing things multiple times, which I tell you always is the key to getting our picky eaters converted. We need to continually, constantly keep reintroducing foods to them. We can't be afraid to introduce foods to them. We have to keep doing that. So if you have a new recipe, split it into a couple meals. So that's another option. So those are my 2 tips for today. Transform your top 5 family meals, and when you're introducing a new recipe, use it as a side dish as opposed to the main course. Another option I was gonna say, because we're actually doing this week, if you have a meal, share it with, maybe you have a neighbor who's elderly or shut in, or someone at your church. If there's someone you can share it with, a home-cooked meal is appreciated by everyone. So maybe you have a mom who is just had a new baby or is a little under the weather. Maybe you can't provide a whole dinner for her family, but you know what? Taking over some food to put in her refrigerator, even if it's just for her lunch, is well appreciated. So if you have a meal, you have this Pinterest recipe that you're just dying to make, think about sharing it with someone else or a portion of it with someone else, because I know they will appreciate it. So if you are on live, let me know. I see a couple people jumping on and off. I'd love to chat with you now. If you're catching this on the replay, please be sure to leave comments. Let me know, how are you struggling with getting healthy meals on the table for your family? And I'm going to continue to discuss those in our live videos in the coming weeks. And like I said, please be sure to sign up for our newsletter, kidseatvegetables.com/tips. You will receive our free ebook that has tips and recipes to get your kiddos to eat more veggies, and then you'll be on our weekly newsletter list to receive our newsletter every Saturday morning, where we share tips, recipes, jokes for the kids, coloring pages for the kids, and a lot of fun. So you have a great week, and we'll talk soon. Bye.